Welcome to True Crime Talk with Nic Edwards. Tonight's story, Scott McMahon is locked up abroad for a crime he did not commit. Here is tonight's story, an interview with Scott McMahon. We're very happy to have Scott McMahon and Brent Tim joining us here today. Scott has experienced something that hopefully none of us ever have to experience, and I'm sure many of us never have, but the way that was described to me, this sounds like a real-life nightmare. That you could wake up one day, find yourself in a world where you have no control and no say-so, and really don't even fully understand what the hell's going on. Scott has an amazing story to tell. Let's go back in time to 2011. And in 2011, this is where what age are you in 2011, and what's going on leading up prior to April of that year? What brought you to the Philippines initially? The business? Just simply the business?
I was a musician. I was in a band. Excuse me. And we had a small indie deal, and we were demoing for some major label stuff. And the band broke up in the middle of demoing, and I was just done. The band was like my baby, you know. And I said, "Fuck it, I'm out of here." My uncle lived over in that part of the world, and his best friend had a big construction company in Manila. So he goes, "Why don't you come over here and work for Jaime?" I was like, I'm there. So I bailed. That was 2001.
I've been in a couple of bands myself, and I don't know what your experience has been, but I ask you this. A band breakup for me, at least once or twice, was 10 times worse than any breakup with any girlfriend or significant other that I've ever had.
Oh, yeah, because it's like you're married to 5 people.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's like, and they're all men. So you got egos to deal with. Fuck.
Yeah, it's like a breakup times 5.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, everybody approaches being in a band differently. And, of course, there's some people that half-ass it. I was a person that went whole ass on it. And, you know, so it was this shocker when the band would break up that, you know, we're talking about bands that have been together for years. And then the band breaks up and you pump everything you have into this one project, this one idea, this one effort. And then when the band breaks up, it's not just that you lost those friendships, but you go, well, now I don't know what to do. I've been doing this same thing for so long, pumping so much energy into it, and I'm just at a loss of how to conduct my daily routine now because I don't have this thing.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I was ass, elbows, fucking legs up in there. I mean, I managed it, and, you know, we wrote all our own music. You know, it was a way of life. So when it was all of a sudden gone, exactly like you're saying, what the fuck? What do I do now? Where do I go now? You know, what do I do?
So how long were you in the Philippines before April of 2011?
Almost 10 years.
So you well acclimated to the area. You've had this established business. Was the business thriving?
It was. We had just opened 6 months prior, 6 months before I got arrested. And yeah, we were doing really well. We had a lot of projects coming up with some government stuff and a lot of the rich people. So yeah, would have been great.
So take us through the getting arrested in a foreign country. What the heck is that like? I mean, was it completely out of the blue?
Yeah. So I had filed a case against a lady that lived in my subdivision because long story short, my 5-year-old son was diagnosed with chronic post-traumatic stress disorder because of this lady. She was scaring the shit out of him. He wouldn't even go outside. So I took him to a psychologist, and one of the best in the country, as a matter of fact. And he diagnosed him with CPTSD. So I filed a case against her. Got an attorney, filed a case against her because I thought that was the right thing to do. Well, it took about 1.5 years for it to actually get to our first court date. And we were there, and the court was on the second floor. There was a McDonald's on the first floor, and we were in there eating because we were waiting for the court to open up. When TV cameras come in, big bright lights, and I remember looking at my wife and going, wonder what they're doing here. And then they start walking towards us, and there's 5 police with them. And they're getting closer and closer, and next thing you know, they're fucking like right at our table, and they go, Mr. Scott's McMahon? And I'm like, no, Scott McMahon. And they're like, yeah, like, we have a warrant for your arrest. And I'm like, what? I said, for what? And they said, rape. And my attorney goes, let me see the warrant. He looks at it and goes, yeah, it's good. And they're like, well, you're coming with us. I said, I have a court date right now. They're like, they didn't care. We don't care. Let's go. So got up, and they walked me outside, and standing out there was the neighbor that I'd filed the case against. And I remember she looked at me and she goes, you think you can rape me and get away with it? I was like, what the fuck? I was in shock. So in the car I went, and instead of taking me to the jail, the city jail, we start heading towards their national headquarters, which is in Manila. And right then I knew, man, okay, here it comes. Here comes the money. And sure enough, we got to the Camp Crame, which is their main headquarters. And the chief, they put me in the room with the chief, and first thing they say, you're thirsty here. Why don't you go get him a Coke or something? Guy goes back in another room, brings back a Coke in a glass. I'm like, nah, I'm good. No thanks. I know what's in there. And the chief says, you know what? We can make this all go away. And I said, what? He said, money talks. And I was like, no, I'm good, man. I didn't do anything wrong. So they kept me there for like 3 hours, and they tried 5 or 6 different times, and finally they realized it wasn't happening. So they transported me to the jail, the city jail.
What did you suspect was in the Coca-Cola?
Probably drugs. See, meth is real popular over there.
And when they brought it back to you, it was already poured into the glass?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, because, if I knew if I took a drink of it, they could be like, well, let's drug test you. And they drug test me, and there'd be something in my system, and then they have more leverage against me. They're really crooked. The Philippine National Police is almost yearly voted the #1 most corrupt government institution in the country.
When he said money talks, did he tell you how much money it was going to take to talk to make you walk?
I didn't let him get that far.
So,
after I got in jail, then the extortion came also.
So you're picked up, and within a matter of just an hour or so, you've turned down a Coca-Cola, and you've turned down paying off the police chief, so that this accusation of rape by this hysterical woman would go away. So she lives. Exactly. She's practically a neighbor of yours.
Yeah, she lived 2 streets over.
2 streets over, and somehow she was harassing your son.
Yeah, she had. I was the only white guy in the subdivision, and then there was another guy, a Belgian guy, and she was married to him. So that's how I initially came into contact with her. And she turned out to be a scam artist. Her marriage to him was fake. She had all these passports of girls in her closet, and when he found all this, and that's what first started it all, he said, I think something's wrong here. I said, what? He goes, look at this. She had like 30 passports of girls, younger, teenage, not teenage, but 18, 19, and 20s. He goes, what's this for? I'm like, I don't know. I go, but it ain't right. And I said, where'd you get married at? And he says, in Recto. And Recto is like forgery capital of the world, man. You can go there, and you want to become a doctor from Harvard, you can go there and get a certificate. So what she did was went and rented a office space for 30 minutes, rented a fake priest, set it all up, and had a ceremony and got married. And then she actually had the documents, and she filled them out, and she actually submitted it to the National Statistics Office. So they had a record of it. But
let's say you passed it on. Let's pretend for a minute that you passed an envelope to the police chief. What the heck would happen then? I mean, I know that you're going to walk, but wouldn't this woman still be like, hey, there's these accusations. Wouldn't that squeaky wheel just keep getting louder and louder?
Oh yeah, they would have let me walk out and then probably came to my house later that night and arrested me again. Either that, or he would have said, this ain't enough. We need more. I thought it was enough, but it's not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would,
What happens next? You're
next,
let go that night?
No, they took me to the city jail, which is the most congested jail in the country. It's got a 2,470% overpopulation. Overcrowded. It was designed to hold 41 people, and there was 1,100, I think.
It's designed to hold 41 people, and there were 1,100. There were 1,100 people in there.
Exactly.
And you were 1,101.
Exactly. Yeah.
What is an entrance like into the city jail there?
Oh fuck, man. So the city jail. So a mile away is the main prison for the country, and that city jail is also the kind of the intern stop for the guys that are going to the main prison. Like if their paperwork's not done yet, they come to us or in where we are until their paperwork's finished, and then they'll go up to the prison. It's chain link fence on the outside, and it's pink. The national colors for the jail are pink. So you see this pink building. The whole jail's probably 1,500 square feet, including administration office, visiting area, and all that. So you pull up there, and it just looks like, it reminds me of a dog kennel, a pink dog kennel that hasn't been painted in 15 years, just dirt all over it. We rolled up, and we couldn't go in because they didn't have my paperwork finished, so we had to wait outside for about an hour. And the cops that are with me are sleeping in their car. And the guy comes out, and it was the warden, and he introduces himself, and I introduced myself, and he says, who's the lady over there? Is that your wife, your sister, your cousin? What? I go, it's my wife. He goes, ma'am, he goes, come here. And she comes over, and he says, do you live far? And she goes, 20 minutes away. He goes, okay. He goes, I'll let you bring him food, bring him food 3 times a day, and bring him water as well, because he can't drink the water here. She goes, okay. And then he goes, do you see that guy sitting in there? There's this little Filipino dude wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt, smoking a cigarette. And I go, yeah. He goes, he's the mayor. He runs the inside. So I suggest you become friends with him. As a matter of fact, I'll even introduce you to him. Okay. And then he goes, do you have any questions? And I said, just one. He goes, what's that? I said, what's the mayor of the city doing in jail? How does he run day-to-day operations for the city? And he looked at me like I was new. I was an idiot. And he just laughed. And he goes, no, what do you Americans call it? He goes, gang leader. That's the gang leader. And I'm like, oh, gang leader. Okay. His gang runs the inside, and what he says goes. So, like I said, I'll introduce you to him. And I said, okay. And he goes, ma'am, like I said, bring him food, bring him water. If not, he'll die. Let's go. I'm like, so I looked at my wife. I said, food, water. And we go inside, and I got to sign some papers, 3 or 4 papers. And they said, let's go. And there's this hallway that's about 10 feet long. and it's not very wide. It's not even 3 feet wide. And when you get to that hallway, dude, the stench was just, it was so nasty. It was like vomit and BO and diarrhea and piss, and it was disgusting. I wanted to puke. So I instantly start breathing through my mouth, so I don't have to smell it. And we get down the hallway, we turn to the left, and there's the maximum security cell. And it's just packed. Fucking packed. All bodies. And I go, I'm not going in there. And they go, yes, you are. And they opened the door and kind of gave me a little friendly nudge on the shoulder, and in I went. And that area was 880 square feet, and we were 318 people the day I walked out. So it's like a 2-bedroom apartment.
If the place is built for 41 people,
right,
and the smells that you're describing, the odors, I'm guessing the bathroom situation is set up for 41 people. I mean, we've heard glamping stories where people are like, we rented a condo for the weekend that was too small. We had 9 people in one bathroom, but this is a whole other nightmare of a bathroom situation.
So we had there was 2 bathrooms. So maximum security
2
was
bathrooms
divided into 4 cells, A, B, C, D. Cell A had a shower and a bathroom. It's a toilet bowl without the tank, basically, without the seat. It's just a bowl. And then cell B and C didn't have anything. And cell D, where I was with the mayor, that we had a bathroom, and that was just a toilet bowl. It was 6 foot long, 3 feet wide, with 1 toilet bowl. And you're not allowed toilet paper. So you use the old hand wipe action.
So why do you think you were pinned up with the mayor? Do you think that was that strategic on anyone's part? The guards, the gang leader? Do you think it had anything to do with you being American?
It was. I'm sure it was his idea, because he saw me, and then he saw money. So figured keep me where he is, and he could probably get me for some money. But he turned out to be really cool. Him and I were pretty close. I still talk to him to this day.
Go ahead, Brent. You had something you wanted to add.
Yeah, I didn't want to reiterate too much, but I think it needs to be explained just a little bit more that when he talked about Recto Avenue in Manila, where Dolores, that's the name of the gal that started all this, got all her fake documents. You can get anything. You can be a commercial airline pilot. You can be a doctor. You can be whatever you want if you go to Recto Ave.
Only at Recto.
And it's amazing. You can just Google Recto, RECTO, Recto Avenue, Manila, and just be amazed at what you see. Secondly,
Didn't they call it the forgery capital?
It's the forgery capital of the world. Yeah. And they don't hide it. Like, there's just different laws and all that. The second thing that I think needs to be noted, when Scott was taken to the International Police Headquarters, or the National Police Headquarters, and then from there he was transported to the Muntinlupa City Jail. On the way, the guards that were transporting him were hungry but didn't have any money, so Scott told them to pull into a fast food joint, and Scott bought them all lunch.
Bought a McDonald's, that's right.
Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Cops get hungry.
Scott, what are you, that first night that you're in there, what are you thinking? That you're going to have maybe go to a courthouse the next morning? That this is going to start to get straightened out rather, hopefully sooner than later? what's going on in your mind that first night? Because I would imagine you're kind of left, you're in there a little blind, right? They're probably not telling you a whole lot of what's going on or what's going to happen.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah. But I thought that, okay, the next morning I'll go to court and I'll have a bail hearing and I'll get bail, or, at least, or they'll have it all figured out and figure out that she's lying and let me go. Well, we filed a motion for bail, but it took 3.5 years to get a resolution, and they denied it.
Take us through that a little bit. I mean, how does that process? Obviously, the process is not working, but how does that process work?
So the next morning, they said, "Okay, you have a court date. We're going to take you in at 9:00." So they took me into the court, and my lawyer was there, and my court date was at 9:00. Judge rolls out about 9:30, and she says, they read the charges against me, and what is your plea? I said, not guilty. And then we submit our motion for bail. Well, no one told us it was going to take 3.5 years to resolve. And my attorney said, "Oh, you're going to get bail. You're going to be out of here." So I'm thinking, within a couple of days, I'm out. And after a couple of days, nothing happened. So I follow up with the attorney, or have my wife follow up with the attorney, and say, "Oh, any day, any day." And make a long story short, I went through 4 attorneys in that case. And when I got the resolution for bail, I wasn't even taken to the court. It was delivered to the jail.
Go ahead, Brent.
Hey, Scott, can you just walk Nick through what your first night was like, kind of from, give him the story when you walked in, what you had to go through from the second you got in there until the next morning. Can you walk us through that?
So when you go in, when you're the new inquest, they call it inquest. The first thing they do is whatever belongings you have, they take them, and then they strip them naked, and they make them stand in front of the gang leader, and he'll ask each one of them, what's your case, and he'll see if they're lying. And the reason they're naked is to, 1, humiliate them, and 2, check for gang tattoos. So if you have a tattoo of a rival gang, first thing they're gonna do is cover it up. So in my case, when I went in, I was the only one that was brought in. And they take me to the gang leader's cell, and he says, "What's your case?" But he's not speaking English because he doesn't speak English. And he had one of his boys translate it. And I could speak Tagalog fluently, but I didn't. I just spoke English because that way I knew that I knew what they were saying about me, and they didn't know that I knew. So it was kind of only my ace in the hole, so to speak. But they said, "What's your case?" I said, "Right." And they said, "Okay." They said, "Take your shirt off. We need to check you for tattoos." I go, "I don't have any." They said, "Well, you still got to take it off." I go, "Okay." So I take it off, and nope, nothing. They said, "Okay, your shorts." I take my shorts off, and now I'm just left in my boxers. And I said, "Sam, no tattoos." And next thing, I feel this hand on my left hip, gonna pull my boxers down. And so instinctively I backhand it. And man, that circle of people that was around me, about 1.5 feet away, shrunk to about 6 inches. And I'm going, fuck, I'm gonna get jumped now. But the gang leader was like, no. And he said, "You need to take them off because we need to look for tattoos." It's okay. So I took it off. And then they're like, "Okay, you're good." And then they're like, "Have a seat." Like, where? There's nowhere when you sleep, you can't even lay on your back. You're on your side. And the best way to describe it is when you open a can of sardines, they're all packed in there. That's exactly how people slept. on their sides and their feet over the other people and their arms over the other people. And there was zero room. You don't see the floor at all. And that's where I slept for a week.
When you're brought in, so they don't give you any like prison scrubs or anything like are all the people that are housed there, are they just wearing whatever they were wearing the day they were arrested?
You get one T-shirt. It's a yellow T-shirt that says Muntinlupa City Jail, and on the back it says detainee. And that's it. Then you can wear shorts, but you get one shirt and that's it. And I still got mine. I snuck mine out when I left.
And
smuggled it out.
The facility itself is just absolutely deplorable. It's
oh my God. Yeah. I mean, no medical care, no dental care. You get a 500. The reason he said bring him food and water is if not, he'll die, is because you get a 500 calorie a day diet.
What's that consist of?
So in the morning, you get a scoop. The morning, the food comes in 5-gallon buckets, 4 or 5-gallon buckets. And you get one soup scoop of, they call it champorado. It's like rice mixed with hot chocolate, but not real hot chocolate. It'd be like the powdered version, instant. And that's your breakfast. And then lunch, you get 3/4 of a cup of rice and like a 4-inch piece of dried fish, which is disgusting. And then dinner, you'll get 3/4 of a cup of rice and a hard-boiled egg, a small hard-boiled egg. And that's it.
And does your wife return on day 2 with food and water?
Yeah. She would come 6 days a week and bring me food and bring me water. Good thing, too. What's that?
What's the delivery process? How does that get to you, and how do you keep it?
She goes to the gate. She drops it off for me. The guards inspect it, and the guards will give it to the trustee. The trustee will bring it to our cell, and then they'll call me to the gate and then give me the food. And I'll take it back to where I'm staying, where I'm eating at or sitting at, and eat it there. But of course,
the other guys aren't trying to take it from you?
No, but the people that are starving to death would just sit there and beg, put their, and they do it by putting one hand up to their mouth, and then the other hand is their palm open, asking, give me food. And when I'd have extra, like say I'm done eating chicken, and I have the bones, I throw the bones away. Man, they'll fucking boom, boom, they're fighting for it. I mean, they're throwing for it. There's nothing on there but, little straggler pieces of meat. That's how hungry they are. And they would literally just fist fight over it.
Out of all the people in there, what would you put the percentage at that they had somebody on the outside actually bringing them provisions?
I'd say 90%, 85, 90%, because in the 5 years and 4 months I was there was 34 people died. Most of them was starvation. That's in our cell. So, and it's not a pretty process. It's a 4-month process. Depends on the person. 5-month process, because in the daytime, if you don't have a visitor, you don't leave the cell. So there's no rec area, there's no library, there ain't jack shit. You're not allowed a cell phone. There's no pay phones. So you have no communication with the outside world except unless you have a visitor. And if you don't have a visitor, you just sit in there. And in the daytime, these guys sit, they sit down, and their ass is sitting on the guy behind them is on his feet, and your arms are resting on the shoulders of the guy sitting in front of you. So say you want to take a nap, you put your head on the guy in front of your shoulder and you sleep. There's absolutely zero room.
But if they're bringing them food as, the very limited amount that they're providing, why are these people starving to death?
Because the people that are starving to death are people that don't have food coming in from the outside.
So the small amount that the prison is providing is not enough to sustain life on long term.
Here, what do we say? 2,000 calorie a day is a normal diet. So there you got 500. So you get a quarter of what we call a regular diet here.
So they're still consuming that, but they're withering away.
Yeah, and so it starts usually where they can't get up because they're too weak. So they're sitting down so much and they don't have any strength. From there, they start. Then their ankles swell up like a fucking softball, and their tongue is like fucking out of their mouth, and by the end their skin's just fucking hanging off their, like in the concentration camps. That's the best way I describe it. Their face is all sunk in, and by the end they would just be naked in a plastic chair in the bathroom in cell A because they'd shit themselves and piss themselves. And one of the lower level inmates would rinse them off, and they would just stay that way until they died, because you can't go to the hospital without a court order. So that'd take fucking 10 years, or unless it's a life or death situation. And a life or death situation is when they can't get a reading on the blood pressure apparatus. So these guys just wither away, and they don't even take them out right away. If they die, sometimes they're there for hours. So it's pretty inhumane, and it's amazing how life really means nothing over there. So
is there any mourning amongst the other inmates when somebody passes that way?
They light a candle. That's about it. So in the first 4 months I was there, my wife, she's always bringing food, so I'd share my food with these guys, because I felt bad. I felt sorry for them. So I'd give them food, that. And one day the gang leader says, "Hey," he says, "come here." I said, "What?" He says, what are you doing?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I noticed you're giving your food to these guys." I go, "Well, I'm just trying to be cool and help them." He goes, "You ain't help." He goes, "Don't you realize you're just prolonging their misery?" What do you mean? He goes, "They're going to die. So every day you give them food keeps them alive in misery one day longer." And I'm just going, that one hit me, it's just, fuck. He goes, "Then look at yourself, man. You're losing weight. You're getting skinny." He goes, what do you want, you or them?" And that's what really, really sunk in. And I was like, fuck, man. So after that, I was like, because he's like, they're going to die. It's just the way it is. You can't save them. I can't save them. I don't want to save them. So once I figured that out, it was, I quit giving them food. Like, fuck it, man. Better you than me, So it was, it's just crazy, the lack of compassion. And
well, hey Scott, don't forget to mention the hierarchy and how it works. I mean, the mayor, the gang leader, owes the warden a monthly stipend.
Well, yeah,
right?
Yeah, the warden decides who.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I mean, as horrible as this situation is with the food and there's no amenities, there's no comfort on any level at all. But what I'm surprised to hear, that I'm not. I wish I could say I was surprised to hear that part, how terrible it is, but I'm not.
Right.
What I'm surprised to hear is there's a little more order amongst the inmates than I had anticipated hearing.
Yeah, so their gang was called the Commandos. And when you walk down the hallway, in the center of the hallway on the wall was it was their laws of the commando, basically. And there was, I think, 9 or 10 laws. One of them was, don't steal. Don't talk to another. Yeah, because if you steal, especially someone's food, they're gonna fuck you up, man. Don't talk to another inmate's visitor in the visiting area. If you're not a gang member, you always show respect to the gang members, the commando gang members. And some other, I forget the other ones, but yeah, they had a system, you know. The gang leader had 8 guys, his boys called them. One guy was the bastonero. He's the one that dealt out the punishment. So if you were in trouble, they're going to lay you down on a bench on your stomach, and he's got a big stick, and he's just going to whap on the back of your thighs. And that's one form of punishment. Another guy was in charge of distributing the food. Another guy was in charge of, believe it or not, cleaning. Once a week, all the cells would get cleaned, the floors would get scrubbed, and another guy was in charge of the visiting area. So when you had a visitor, you had to pay 30 pesos to the gang. And all that money would go to the gang leader. And the gang leader would, and also if you wanted a place to sleep off the ground, because the ceilings were 10 feet high. So at 3 feet, there'd be a plywood floor. 3 feet above that was another plywood floor. And if you wanted to have a space up there, you had to pay monthly. You had to rent. So all that goes to the gang leader, and he would give the warden his cut and every month, and so they all made money. So it was fairly sophisticated the way they ran things.
And I apologize for the wording of this question, but there's no polite way to ask it. Were you the only? How many white guys? How many American people were?
Just me.
You?
Just me.
You.
Only me.
What does that mean for you?
Well, so about my 5th day in, you know, the gang leader can leave in and out of the cell when he wants. He can go walk around. It's one of his privileges. Like I said, I could speak Tagalog. I could understand Tagalog. So I knew what was being said. They didn't know I knew because I'd only speak English. So the gang leader's out, and there's 5 guys, and they're talking about jumping me. And I'm just going, fuck, here we go, you know. And so I spoke to them. I go, hey. They looked at me, and I said, sige, laban tayo means, okay, let's do it. And they're just shocked. They're like, fuck. So I said, hey, I just want to ask one question. And they're like, what? I said, well, you guys are gonna get me, man. There's 5 of you, 1 of me, so I'm pretty much toast. I go, but I just wanted to let you know that 3 of you motherfuckers are going with me, man. So which 3 is it gonna be? It's gonna be you, because your mom's a whore. Is it you, your sister, and your mom's a whore? It's you, your fucking grandma's a whore.
Hey, you leave grandma alone.
I didn't even know what I was saying. It was just coming off the top of my head because I was scared shitless. My heart's going boom, 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 boom. I think I'm gonna. This is how it ends, right? And then the one guy looks at the other one and goes, I mean, so he's fucking crazy. And then I backed into the corner, which was only like a foot and a half away, because I knew they couldn't get behind me. And I said, let's go. And they start to walk forward. And as they're walking forward, you know that song Blaze of Glory from Bon Jovi? That fucking riff is going through my head. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm gonna die, and fucking Blaze of Glory is going through my head. You know, what the fuck is this? So they start walking forward, and then all of a sudden you hear this, hey, from down the hall, and it was the gang leader. Someone must have told him. And he comes down, and, you know, because they didn't have permission to jump me. You have to have his permission. So apparently they didn't have permission. And he says, you know, he asked them, what's going on here? So I spoke to him in Tagalog, and I said, your boys are going to jump me. So I was just telling them that I know I'm going to lose, but I was just asking which 3 of them are going to hell with me. And he goes, he's like, you speak Tagalog? And I'm like, you know, I'm no disrespect, man. I hope you understand, but it's the only thing I had, you know. I don't know anybody here. I'm not Filipino. And he looks at those 5 guys, and he whaps them all in the head. bam, bam, and sends him to cell A for a week. And cell A was where you went if you were sick and dying or if you were in trouble. So they got to go spend a week in cell A, and he looks at me and he's like, come here, come up to my, he's got his little area. So I go up there and he goes, why didn't you tell me you speak Tagalog? I said, like I said, man, no disrespect, but my only ace in the hole I had, the only thing I had, And he goes, because, I wanted to talk to you, but I don't speak English. I'm like, oh, cool. And he goes, so now we're friends. He goes, is there anything I can do for you? And I'm like, yeah, I would love a place to sleep. And I got money. So I gave him $300 US, which is 15,000 pesos, which is like giving him, $3,000 US, And the next day he got a 4x6 piece of plywood and some 2x4s. And he made me a bed next to his, like 6 feet off the ground. And that was my world for 5 years and 4 months, man.
Hey, Scott, was it true that if you got sent to cell A as punishment, it was basically a death penalty as a healthy person, because you would go to where the sick people are, and of course there's nobody that can afford medicine. So can you explain that a little bit?
Well, yeah, if you weren't sick, when you came out, you were. And then they're just going to send you back because you're sick. So it's basically like a death sentence. But yeah, these guys and cell A was just fucking packed, man. Like more so than the other cells, because so many people were sick, and like I said, there's no medical care, so there's no medicine. If like for me, my wife would bring it, and after about 2 months, I was pretty cool with the guards. I'd loan them money, and they'd fucking let her bring me stuff in, and if they didn't pay me back, I wouldn't loan them money anymore, which they couldn't fathom. They're like, you're the inmate, we're the guard. I'm like, doesn't matter, you didn't pay me back. What the fuck am I supposed to do? Just keep giving you money? And so I'd be like, okay, never mind this amount, just let my wife bring me some medicine. So kind of barter like that. You pay for everything. Money talks. I can't hear you.
Can't hear you, Nick.
Sorry. How long were you able to go before they knew that you could speak the language?
That fifth day.
Fifth day.
Yep. After that, cat was out of the bag.
And then when you said you went through 4 different attorneys, these are all real attorneys? We're talking about the land of forgery here, the land of fakes.
Right. Yeah.
As far as we know, they were real attorneys?
As far as I know. That's a good point, man. I wonder how many of them weren't. Yeah, it's such a shit show, man. Because they'll charge you they call it an acceptance fee, and then they'll charge you an appearance fee. So every time they come to court, there's another $100. Every time they come to the jail to check on you, hey, just want to see how you're doing. There's $100. It's appearance fee. Everything's a fucking appearance fee, and then they don't do nothing. So, it's like, hey, I had 5 court dates scheduled and they all got canceled. What are we going to do about this? Oh, there's nothing we can do. Can't you file something, or can't you fucking talk to somebody? Oh, we just have to wait.
What are your ties to this country during this time? Do you have any lifeline from the U.S.?
No. I mean, no, and no. My family didn't know I was even detained until about the second year, I think. So we hit it. My uncle knew because he lived there. But I had, money saved from our company. But after 2 years, I was gone. And no money coming in. And then my uncle would give me like $150 a week. so my wife would buy me food, be able to buy food and stuff and bring it in. And the embassy, the U.S. embassy, good, they don't do shit. They came down after I got arrested and they said, okay, here's a roll of toilet paper. And the guards go, well, that's not allowed. Okay, here's a razor to shave. Guards, that's not allowed. Here's some magazines and some paper and a pen. That's not allowed. And here's a list of attorneys you can hire. Other than that, there's nothing we can do for you. And I was like, you're kidding. I'm like, it's fucking, it was a total setup. I was on vacation, when she said it happened. She filed the case and said it happened 6 months prior. But when she said it happened, we were on vacation. We were 11 hours away. And she didn't even live in the subdivision anymore. She had moved out a month prior. And we had record of it. We had everything, but the judge wouldn't let me present anything.
Did you have to go for any period of time without any money? Because maybe describe for us the stark differences between an inmate that has money and an inmate that does not have any money.
Well, I'll tell you, hunger pains fucking suck. They're the worst, man. I went 5 days one time without food. And it was horrible. By the fifth day, man, my stomach was just, dude, it ached so bad. And the reason they didn't come for 5 days, it was about my fourth year in. And every 6 weeks, I get a different visitor to the jail, a different cop. And they come down, and it was always the same thing, it's like, hey, buddy, hey, we want to help you get out of here, You pay $125,000, 5 million pesos, and drop your case against her, and you're out of here. And I was like, fuck that. I didn't do anything wrong. So it's like pain for me. It's like saying you're guilty. And that went on. And then after a couple of years, it started to go down. I'll just pay, $4.5 million and drop your case against her. No. And it'd go down. To finally where in the fourth year, this little cop shows up and it was the same shit. Paddy's like, bro, Paddy, come stop, bro. How you doing? And I'm like, let me guess, you're here to help me? And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, you've been in here so long. He goes, you're never going to get out of here. He goes, because I really want to help you. I go, okay. I go, let me guess, you want me to pay and then drop my case against her and then I'll go? And he goes, here's the beautiful, he goes, you don't even have to pay. You don't have to pay her nothing. Just drop the case against her. But just give for the boys. For the boys is a term like give them something for facilitating the deal. Their finder's fee, so to speak. And I said, and I go, I go, you know what, man? I go, you're right. I go, fuck, I want to go home, man. I've been here a long time. And he goes, yeah. He goes, and I'm here to help you. I said, yeah. I go, but I just don't know how much to, for the boys. He goes, bahala ka, pare, man. It's up to you, bro. You know what to give. Of course, they're not going to put out a number because they know that, they're thinking me being the white guy, I'm going to put out a bigger number than they do. So I go, I go, I got it. I know, I got it. I know what I'm going to pay. I have an offer. He goes, okay, great. What is it? And the cell door is, 3/4 inch rebar, 6-inch space. And I put my hand through the rebar and I went, 1 peso, motherfucker. That's what I'm going to pay you. Fuck you. And this dude, this brown-skinned dude turned fucking beet red with rage. He was pissed. He's like, you're going to fucking die in here, man. I point up to this guy. I go, I don't know, man. 4 years. I'm looking pretty good. I got a pretty good bodyguard. And he's just like, you're fucking dead. I'm like, fuck you. Get out of here, man. Motherfucker. So I'm thinking I got him.
Did you see anybody leave?
Okay. Well, in body bags.
Yeah. Well, I mean, other than that, did anybody walk out of there? Did anybody get due process? Did anybody,
due
pay
process?
People
No.
off to get out?
People have to get out, yeah. Every once in a while, someone would get out. And, it was kind of a big thing when someone got out. Fuck. Because you get 10 in, and then 1 would leave, maybe, So, and a lot of these guys are in there for just petty shit, like shoplifting, because they're hungry. But the court system's so fucked up that it takes 7-8 years to finish a case. And even though they have bail, which is only like $20 US, 1,000 pesos, they don't got it. Their families don't have it. So they just sit in jail and rot, they just rot away.
Well, we will leave the ending to mystery here. I mean, it obviously, spoiler alert, he's not still in this horrible prison. We're not talking via computer, laptop, because he's still in this terrible prison. So
it'd be way
Scott,
too nice.
If you're worried about Scott, he's safe and he's back on U.S. soil. But there's so much more to this story that, I mean, we could spend days talking about this. Scott and Brent are currently working on a book project together. That's correct?
We are. In fact, the book is done. We even think we have a name for it. It's not out yet. We think Freedom at Sunset is kind of appropriate because after almost 6 years in that shithole, Scott was getting towards the end of his rope, as he should have been. And he just wasn't sure how much he had left in the tank. And so Freedom at Sunset seems apropos.
Well, hey, Brent, thank you for your time today. Scott, thank you for your time, and thank you for your story. And we're all very happy and thankful that you somehow, by the grace of God, made it out of there alive, and you're back here on U.S. soils.
Thanks for having us, man. I really appreciate it.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by Wild Blue Press, their great books, and their brilliant true crime authors, like Christian Barth in his fantastic book, The Garden State Parkway Murders, a cold case mystery. Great Wild Blue Press titles can be accessed at wildbluepress.com. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow True Crime Talk on your listening app, and support True Crime Talk by leaving a positive review so we can keep bringing to you more great true crime talk. Thanks for listening.